Imagine pulling a penny from your pocket that looks completely ordinary, but could be hiding a story tied to one of the most dramatic moments in American coin history. A coin made during a year of panic, silver hoarding, and national change. Today, we're uncovering the true story behind the 1964 D Mint Mark Lincoln penny, a coin millions have handled, yet few truly understand. This coin is a 1-cent piece featuring Abraham Lincoln on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the back. It was struck in 1964 at the Denver Mint, which is why it carries the small D mint mark just below the date. At first glance, it looks like any other old penny, but its timing, production scale, and hidden collector interest make it far more fascinating than most people realize. To understand this coin, we need to step back into the year 1964. America was going through major changes. President Lyndon B. Johnson had just taken office after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 was being passed. The country was modernizing fast, and even its money was under pressure. During the early 1960s, the U.S. faced a serious coin shortage. People were hoarding silver coins, worried their metal content would soon be worth more than their face value. This caused everyday coins like dimes, quarters, and half dollars to disappear from circulation. While pennies weren't made of silver, the government increased production of all coins to keep commerce moving. That's where the 1964 Lincoln penny comes in. The Denver Mint went into overdrive that year. In fact, more Lincoln cents were struck in 1964 than in almost any other year in history. Over 3.7 billion pennies were made at the Denver Mint alone. That makes the 1964 D penny one of the most widely produced coins in U.S. history. But mass production doesn't mean a coin has no story. In fact, it often means the opposite. When billions of coins are struck, tiny mistakes, unusual conditions, and rare survivors become much more meaningful. And that's exactly what makes this penny interesting today. Let's take a closer look at what this coin is made of. The 1964 D Lincoln penny is composed of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. This gives it that rich, reddish-brown tone collectors love. Unlike modern pennies, which are mostly zinc with a thin copper coating, these older cents feel heavier in the hand and sound different when dropped on a hard surface. The front of the coin shows Abraham Lincoln, designed by sculptor Victor David Brenner. This portrait has been used on U.S. pennies since 1909, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in American history. On the back, you'll find the Lincoln Memorial, introduced in 1959 to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Inside the memorial, if you look closely, you can even see a tiny statue of Lincoln sitting in his chair, a detail many people never notice. Now let's talk about the mint mark. The D beneath the date tells us this coin was struck in Denver, Colorado. At the time, the Denver Mint was one of the busiest coin-producing facilities in the country. It specialized in large-scale production for circulation, and in 1964 it was working around the clock. So with billions of coins made, you might be wondering, how could any of these possibly be valuable? The answer lies in condition, errors, and rare varieties. Most 1964 D pennies you find today are worth face value or just a few cents if heavily worn. But coins that survived in excellent condition, especially uncirculated examples with full red color, can be worth significantly more. Collectors grade pennies on a scale from worn to mint state, and the difference in value between grades can be dramatic. A worn 1964 D penny might be worth 1 to 3 cents, but a well-preserved example with full original copper color and sharp details can sell for several dollars. And in top professional grades, some examples have sold for hundreds. But condition isn't the only factor. Errors and varieties play a major role. One of the most interesting things about high-volume minting years like 1964 is the number of mistakes that slipped through. These errors were unintentional and often unnoticed until collectors found them years later. Some 1964 D pennies show off-center strikes, where the design is shifted toward the edge of the coin. Others have clipped planchets, where part of the coin is missing because the metal strip was miscut. There are also doubled dies, where parts of the design appear doubled due to misalignment during the die-making process. A genuine doubled die penny can show noticeable doubling in the date, the word liberty, or the motto "In God We Trust." These are not caused by wear or damage, but by the way the coin was struck. And when confirmed, these varieties can sell for tens, hundreds, or even thousands of dollars depending on severity and condition. Another highly collectible error is the repunched mint mark. In the 1960s, mint marks were added to coin dies by hand. Sometimes the punch was applied more than once, leaving a shadow or doubled look behind the letter D. These small details can make a big difference to collectors. There are also rare cases of wrong planchet errors, where a penny was accidentally struck on metal meant for another coin. For example, a 1964 penny struck on a silver dime blank would be incredibly rare and extremely valuable. These errors are scarce, but they do exist, and they are one of the reasons collectors still examine common-date pennies closely. Now let's talk about real market value examples. A circulated 1964 D penny typically sells for just a few cents, but a bright red, uncirculated example graded MS65 or higher by a professional grading service can sell for $10 to $40. Top-grade examples, especially those graded MS67 or above, have sold for over $300 at auction. Error coins bring even stronger confirmation of value. Off-center strikes can sell for $50 to $300 depending on how dramatic the shift is. Double die varieties can reach into the hundreds. Rare wrong metal strikes can sell for thousands, sometimes much more. These prices show that even one of the most common pennies in history can become highly valuable under the right conditions. But how do you know if the coin you have is real or special? First, look at the date. It should clearly read 1964. Next, look below the date. If you see a small D, it means it was struck at the Denver Mint. Then examine the color. Genuine 1964 pennies should have a copper tone, red, reddish-brown, or brown depending on wear and storage. If the coin looks silver-colored, it may be plated or altered, or in rare cases, it could be a wrong planchet strike. A magnet test can help. Real copper pennies are not magnetic. Next, check the weight. A standard 1964 penny should weigh about 3.11 grams. A significant difference could indicate damage, alteration, or a rare error. Use a magnifying glass or phone camera zoom to inspect the date, lettering, and mint mark. Look for doubling, odd spacing, missing letters, or unusual shapes. Compare your coin to images of verified varieties online from trusted numismatic sources. Also examine the edges. They should be smooth and even. Any unusual cuts, curves, or missing sections could signal an error worth further investigation. If you believe you found something unusual, don't clean the coin. Cleaning reduces collector value significantly. Instead, store it safely in a soft holder and consider having it examined by a reputable coin dealer or professional grading service. Now let's talk about some fun and surprising facts about the 1964 D penny. First, it was one of the last copper-heavy pennies before the U.S. began experimenting with cheaper materials. Just 18 years later, in 1982, pennies would shift to mostly zinc. That makes 1964 pennies part of the final era of classic copper cents. Second, 1964 is the only year the U.S. Mint continued producing silver coins with 90% silver content, even after deciding to change metal compositions. While this didn't affect pennies directly, it shows how chaotic and transitional this year was for U.S. coinage. Third, because so many people saved coins during the coin shortage, millions of 1964 pennies were pulled out of circulation and stored in jars, drawers, and boxes, often forgotten for decades. That's why so many still exist today in surprisingly good condition. Fourth, despite being extremely common, the 1964 D penny remains one of the most searched dates by beginners. That's because people often find them in older collections, inherited coin jars, or childhood piggy banks and wonder if they're worth something special. Now let's talk about why collectors still love this coin today. For beginners, the 1964 D penny is often one of the first older coins they examine closely. It's easy to find, affordable, and part of a historically rich era. That makes it perfect for learning how grading works, how mint marks matter, and how errors are identified. For advanced collectors, the challenge lies in finding the best condition examples and rare varieties. Completing a high-grade Lincoln cent set often means hunting for flawless coins from high mintage years like 1964, which isn't as easy as it sounds. Coins struck during heavy production runs often show weak strikes, surface marks, and color issues, making pristine survivors much scarcer than raw mintage numbers suggest. Collectors also appreciate this coin because it represents the end of an era. It belongs to the final generation of pennies made almost entirely of copper, and to the final years before major design and metal changes reshaped U.S. coinage forever. And perhaps most importantly, it reminds people that value isn't always about rarity alone. Sometimes, value comes from condition, history, timing, and hidden details that only patient observation can reveal. So the next time you find a 1964 D Lincoln penny in your change, don't dismiss it. Hold it. Look at the date. Check the mint mark. Tilt it under the light. Because even though billions were made, only a tiny fraction survive in high condition, and only a handful carry the kinds of mint errors that turn everyday coins into collector treasures. And sometimes, the most ordinary-looking coin in your pocket turns out to be a direct link to one of the most fascinating years in American monetary history. That's the true story of the 1964 D Lincoln penny, a coin that proves even common change can carry uncommon value if you know what to look for. And who knows, the next penny you pick up might just have a story waiting to be discovered. Most people would walk right past this penny without a second thought. It looks ordinary, common, forgettable. But what if I told you that a single 1968 Lincoln penny with no mint mark could be hiding a story of history, mistakes, and collector value that most Americans have never heard about? Today, we're uncovering the true story behind the 1968 no mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin that quietly sits in jars, drawers, and old collections, yet carries clues about one of the most fascinating transitions in modern U.S. coin history. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what makes this penny special, how much it can be worth, and why collectors still search for it today. Let's start with what this coin actually is. The 1968 Lincoln penny is a 1-cent coin featuring President Abraham Lincoln on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the back. It was produced during a time when American coinage was changing, not just in design, but in how and where coins were made. The phrase "no mint mark" means the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally did not place a mint mark on coins at that time. So if your 1968 penny has no letter below the date, that doesn't mean it's missing something. It means it was made in Philadelphia. But here's where things get interesting. Even though millions were minted, certain examples stand out in powerful ways, and some can be surprisingly valuable. To understand why, we need to step back into the year 1968. America in 1968 was a nation in transition. The country was dealing with social change, political unrest, and major cultural shifts. At the same time, the U.S. Mint was facing its own challenges. Just a few years earlier, silver had been removed from most circulating coins because rising silver prices made people hoard them. This caused nationwide coin shortages, and the mint had to increase production dramatically to keep money moving through the economy. In response, Congress passed a law in the mid-1960s that temporarily removed mint marks from coins altogether. The idea was to discourage collectors from hoarding coins from specific mints. But by 1968, mint marks were brought back on most coins, except in Philadelphia, which continued its long tradition of producing coins without mint marks. So in 1968, pennies were struck in three places. Philadelphia coins had no mint mark. Denver coins carried a D, San Francisco coins had an S, and those were mainly proof coins made for collectors. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 1.7 billion pennies in 1968 alone. That's billion with a B. It was one of the highest mintages in Lincoln cent history. With numbers that high, you might assume none of these coins could ever be valuable. But as collectors know, mintage numbers only tell part of the story. Now let's talk about what this coin is made of and what it looks like. The 1968 no mint mark Lincoln penny is made of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This gives it that classic reddish-brown color that older pennies are known for, very different from today's copper-plated zinc cents. When freshly struck, these coins had a bright red shine. Over time, most turned brown, but some well-preserved examples still hold that original red color, and those are especially prized by collectors. On the front of the coin, you'll see Abraham Lincoln's right-facing profile. This design was created by sculptor Victor David Brenner and first appeared in 1909 to honor Lincoln's 100th birthday. It's the longest-running portrait of a real person in U.S. coin history. Above Lincoln's head is the word Liberty. In front of his face is the motto, "In God We Trust." Below the date, if there is no letter, that confirms the coin was minted in Philadelphia. On the back of the coin is the Lincoln Memorial, which was introduced in 1959. If you look closely, you can actually see a tiny statue of Lincoln sitting inside the memorial between the pillars. This makes the Lincoln cent one of the few U.S. coins to feature the same person on both sides. At first glance, nothing about this design seems rare or unusual, but the true value of this coin often lies in its condition and, in some cases, in minting errors. Let's talk about why this penny can be rare or valuable. Even though more than 1 billion were made, very few survived in perfect condition. Most were used in everyday commerce, bounced around in pockets, registers, and vending machines, and slowly worn down over time. Finding a 1968 no mint mark penny today that still has sharp details, strong luster, and original color is much harder than most people realize. Collectors grade coins on a scale, and the highest grades represent coins that look almost exactly as they did the day they left the mint. These are called mint state coins, and the top examples are extremely rare, even for common date pennies. But condition alone isn't the only factor. Some 1968 pennies were struck with errors that make them even more desirable. One known error is the double die obverse. This happens when the coin die shifts slightly during the minting process, causing parts of the design, especially the date or lettering, to appear doubled. On some 1968 pennies, collectors have found noticeable doubling on Liberty or "In God We Trust." These varieties can sell for significantly more than regular examples. Another type of error involves off-center strikes, where the coin blank wasn't properly aligned during minting, resulting in a design that's partially missing or shifted to one side. There are also clipped planchets, where part of the metal blank was cut off before striking, and broad strikes, where the coin was struck without the retaining collar, causing it to spread out wider than normal. Each of these errors turns a common coin into a collectible curiosity, and in some cases, into a serious moneymaker. Now let's talk about real values and auction examples. A typical worn 1968 no mint mark penny is worth about 1 cent. That's the honest truth. Most of them, especially brown-colored coins with heavy wear, are common and easily found. But value rises quickly with condition. A clean, uncirculated example with strong red color can be worth several dollars. In higher grades, prices increase sharply. In top mint state condition, certified examples have sold for hundreds and in rare cases over $1,000 at major auctions. For example, one high-grade 1968 no-mint mark penny, graded M S67 read by a professional grading service, sold at auction for over $1,800. That's for a coin most people would ignore in their change. The reason for that price isn't the date alone. It's the combination of flawless condition, strong original luster, and collector demand for top registry-quality coins. Error coins can bring even more. A verified double die example can sell for anywhere from $50 to several $100s, depending on the strength of the doubling and the coin's condition. Dramatic off-center strikes can also bring strong premiums, especially if the date is still visible. These prices show something important. Even coins with massive mintages can become valuable when rarity of condition or unusual errors enter the picture. So how do you know if your 1968 penny is real, valuable, or something special? First, check the date and mint mark area. Under the year 1968, there should be no letter. If there's a D, it's from Denver. If there's an S, it's from San Francisco, likely a proof coin. The Philadelphia coin will have nothing there. Next, look at the color. A bright reddish tone suggests original copper luster, which is good. A darker brown color means the coin has toned over time, which is normal but usually less valuable. Then examine the details. Look at Lincoln's hair, cheek, and coat lines. Are they sharp or worn smooth? On the reverse, check the steps of the Lincoln Memorial and the tiny statue inside. The more detail you see, the better the condition. Now check for errors. Use a magnifying glass to inspect the date and lettering. Look for doubling, especially on Liberty and In God We Trust. Check the edges for unusual shapes or clips. Look at the strike quality. Does anything look off-center or unusually wide? As for fakes, the good news is that fake 1968 pennies are rare because the coin itself is common. However, altered coins do exist, especially when someone tries to create a fake error. Be cautious of coins with unnatural marks, tooling, or filing. If you believe you've found something valuable, professional authentication and grading is always the safest route. Now let's talk about some fun and surprising facts about this coin. One interesting detail is that 1968 marked the return of mint marks after several years of absence. From 1965 to 1967, no U.S. coins carried mint marks at all. So 1968 was the first year Americans once again saw letters like D and S appear on their coins. But Philadelphia continued without a mark, which is why the 1968 no mint mark penny represents both tradition and transition. Another fun fact is that this penny belongs to the final era of solid copper Lincoln cents. In 1982, the mint switched to copper-plated zinc to reduce costs. That means every 1968 penny contains significantly more copper than modern cents, which gives it a heavier feel and richer color. Also, the Lincoln Memorial reverse design used on this coin would remain in circulation until 2008. In 2009, the mint temporarily changed the reverse to 4 different designs celebrating Lincoln's life. Then in 2010, it was replaced permanently by the Union Shield design. That makes the 1968 penny part of a long but now closed chapter in U.S. coinage history. Collectors also enjoy searching through rolls of old pennies from this era, because high-grade survivors are much scarcer than the mintage numbers suggest. Even though billions were made, very few were saved carefully, and fewer still survived decades of circulation without damage. So why do collectors love the 1968 no-mint mark Lincoln penny today? First, it represents an important historical moment. It comes from a time when the U.S. Mint was modernizing, adjusting to metal shortages, and ramping up production to meet demand. It reflects the economic and social changes of late 1960s America. Second, it offers accessibility. Unlike ultra-rare coins that cost tens of thousands of dollars, this penny is something almost anyone can find. It invites people into the hobby of coin collecting because you don't need a fortune to start searching. You can look through pocket change, old jars, or inherited collections and potentially discover something special. Third, it offers real upside potential. While most are worth a cent, the best examples can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Error coins can be even more exciting. That combination of low cost and high potential reward is part of what keeps collectors engaged. And finally, there's the thrill of the hunt. Every time someone picks up a 1968 penny and flips it over, there's a moment of curiosity. Is this just another coin, or is it something more? That feeling never gets old in the world of numismatics. Before we close, here's something worth remembering. Coins like the 1968 no-mint mark Lincoln penny remind us that value isn't always obvious. Sometimes, history hides in plain sight. A simple piece of copper that once bought a piece of candy or a newspaper can later become a collectible artifact, a conversation starter, or even a small financial surprise. So the next time you see a penny dated 1968 with no mint mark, don't dismiss it. Take a closer look. Check its condition. Look for unusual details. You might be holding a small piece of American history, and possibly something more valuable than you ever expected. And if you're curious about what other everyday coins might be hiding unexpected value, stay tuned. Because sometimes, the most ordinary objects carry the most extraordinary stories. Imagine holding a tiny piece of history in the palm of your hand, so small, yet potentially worth thousands of dollars. A coin that most people have overlooked, shoved in jars or lost under couch cushions, suddenly becomes the object of intense curiosity and desire. Today, we're exploring one of the most intriguing finds in modern American coinage, the 1971 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. This seemingly ordinary penny hides a story few know, a story that could turn a simple copper disc into a collector's treasure. The 1971 Lincoln penny, at first glance, looks just like the pennies we've all used for decades. One side shows the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, looking solemn and steadfast. The other side carries the Lincoln Memorial, a symbol of freedom and American heritage. But what makes this particular penny stand out is the absence of a mint mark, a tiny letter that usually indicates where the coin was struck. For collectors, a missing mint mark on a coin from this era can make it an unusual and sometimes highly valuable find. To understand why, we need to look back at the history of the coin itself. The year 1971 was a time of change in America. The country was moving through a period of social transformation, and the United States Mint was still producing billions of coins for everyday circulation. Pennies were, of course, a common sight, and millions were struck at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. Typically, a small D on the coin indicates Denver, while a P or no mark usually indicates Philadelphia. Yet in certain cases, coins that should bear a mint mark ended up without one. This wasn't necessarily intentional. It could be the result of a die error, a production mishap, or even a striking anomaly. But it created a rare subset of coins that collectors now search for eagerly. The 1971 Lincoln penny itself is made primarily of copper, with a small percentage of zinc. Its diameter is 19 millimeters, and it weighs about 3.11 grams. On the front, Lincoln's profile was designed by Victor David Brenner, whose design first appeared in 1909 to commemorate Lincoln's 100th birthday. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial design had been introduced in 1959, replacing the earlier wheat ears. For most pennies, these details are standard and unremarkable, but in the world of coin collecting, even a tiny variation can be significant. What makes the 1971 no-mint mark penny particularly fascinating is its rarity. Unlike older coins, where missing mint marks might be more common, The 1971 penny should almost always show its origin. A penny from this year with no mint mark stands out because it defies the standard production process. While it's not classified as a major error like double-die pennies from the 1950s or 1960s, it still captures attention precisely because it's unexpected. In the eyes of collectors, a simple omission becomes a story of chance, production quirks, and historical context. The value of a 1971 penny with no mint mark depends heavily on its condition and authenticity. In circulated condition, it may fetch a modest premium, anywhere from a few dollars to perhaps $50. However, coins that are uncirculated or have exceptional luster can command significantly higher prices. There have been documented sales where pristine examples of unusual Lincoln pennies from the 1970s have reached several $100s at auction. While these numbers may not be in the millions like older rarities, they represent a substantial increase over face value and make the hunt worthwhile for collectors. Identifying a genuine 1971 no-mint mark penny is surprisingly simple if you know what to look for. First, examine the obverse side, the side with Lincoln's portrait. If the coin originated from Philadelphia and is truly missing a mint mark, the area just below the date should be clean, without a faint D or any other sign of alteration. Experts often recommend checking under a magnifying glass because sometimes a worn mint mark can appear missing to the naked eye. Next, check the edges and weight of the coin. A counterfeit may feel slightly off in weight or have irregular edges. Finally, compare the details of Lincoln's profile and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse to a verified 1971 penny. Subtle differences in engraving sharpness or spacing can indicate whether the coin is authentic. Beyond the technical aspects, there are fun and surprising details that make this penny intriguing. For instance, while most coins of this era were mass-produced, each no-mint mark penny is unique simply because of its scarcity. Imagine a factory floor where millions of coins are struck daily, yet a single mistake occurs. A penny emerges without the mint mark, quietly slipping into circulation. That coin might end up in a child's piggy bank, a jar on a kitchen counter, or a collector's album decades later. Each penny carries a story of chance, almost like a historical lottery ticket that survived the odds. Collectors love the 1971 no-mint mark Lincoln penny not just for its rarity, but for the connection it provides to American history. Holding one of these coins is like holding a tangible link to the early 1970s, a time of change, of challenges, and of everyday life that millions of Americans experienced. It's a reminder that even ordinary objects, like a 1-cent coin, can hold unexpected significance. For collectors, the thrill lies not only in the potential financial value, but also in the story, the hunt, and the satisfaction of owning something that is uncommon and historically meaningful. Over time, the 1971 no-mint mark penny has also become a conversation starter. Many collectors enjoy showing it to friends or family, explaining how something so small and overlooked can carry hidden value. It sparks curiosity, invites questions, and even encourages new generations to take an interest in numismatics, the study and collection of coins. It's a small item with a big impact, capable of teaching patience, attention to detail, and a sense of discovery that transcends money. As we wrap up, consider this. Millions of pennies were minted in 1971, yet only a tiny fraction might have slipped through the cracks without a mint mark. Could one of these coins be hiding in your wallet, jar, or old coin collection? The next time you reach for a penny, think about the stories it could tell, the history it represents, and the possibility that something ordinary could be extraordinary. A small copper disc might not seem important at first glance, but for the keen-eyed collector, it's a gateway into the fascinating world of American coin history, mystery, and potential treasure. So the question remains, how many 1971 no-mint mark pennies are still out there, quietly waiting to be discovered? Could the next one you find be worth far more than its face value? The thrill is in the search, the story, and the discovery that even the most familiar objects can hold hidden treasures, quietly reminding us that history often hides in plain sight. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that most people pass by every day without a second thought, yet it could be worth thousands of dollars. A coin so rare that even seasoned collectors often question if what they have is real. Today, we're diving into the story of the 1973 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, a small, seemingly ordinary coin with an extraordinary secret. The 1973 Lincoln penny is part of one of the most recognizable series in American coin history. Featuring Abraham Lincoln on the front, or obverse, it's a design that has been in continuous production since 1909, making it the longest-running design in U.S. coinage. The penny's reverse shows the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959 to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Normally, these pennies are common, produced in the billions, yet this particular variant has captured the attention of collectors because of a subtle but significant anomaly. It has no mint mark. In the United States, mint marks indicate where a coin was produced. The letter D stands for the Denver Mint, while S indicates San Francisco. In 1973, most Lincoln pennies were struck at both of these mints. A penny without a mint mark should have been produced at the Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally did not add a mark during that era. However, what makes the 1973 no mint mark penny unusual is not just its origin, but its scarcity in collectible condition. While millions were minted for circulation, very few have survived with the sharp details, full luster, and pristine appearance that collectors prize. Over time, these coins became rarer in top-quality condition, creating an unexpected demand in the coin world. The history of the 1973 Lincoln penny is tied to a period of change and careful quality control in U.S. minting. In the early 1970s, the United States was transitioning through a period of economic shifts and coin production challenges. Inflation was rising, and the cost of metals was closely monitored. Pennies were made primarily of copper, with 95% copper and 5% zinc, a formula that had been standard for decades. The Lincoln penny's familiar design was meant to honor America's 16th president while serving as a reliable, everyday coin for commerce. That year, the Philadelphia Mint produced billions of pennies, yet very few of them retained the condition necessary to become highly collectible. The 1973 no mint mark penny shares the same design as its contemporaries, with Lincoln's profile facing right, his features etched in careful detail. The reverse shows the Lincoln Memorial with its columns and the inscription EPLURIBUS UNUM above. But subtle details matter to collectors. The luster of the copper, the sharpness of Lincoln's jawline, the clarity of the lettering. These aspects differentiate a coin that might sit unnoticed in a pocket from one that can fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars in the right market. Errors or variations, like doubled dies or weak strikes, can add even more intrigue, though the no mint mark variant is most prized for its rarity and high-grade condition, rather than dramatic mistakes. Why is this penny so valuable? The answer lies in the combination of scarcity and condition. While millions of 1973 pennies were minted, the number that remain in uncirculated or near-perfect condition is surprisingly low. Over time, most pennies were spent, worn, and scratched, leaving only a tiny fraction in the hands of careful collectors. The market responds to scarcity. When a collector spots a well-preserved 1973 no mint mark penny, they know they are looking at a coin that could be a centerpiece of a collection. Auction results provide a glimpse of this coin's real-world value. In recent years, high-grade examples of the 1973 no mint mark penny have sold for several $100s. Some coins graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC, which confirm authenticity and condition, have reached values exceeding $1,000 for near-perfect specimens. The premium reflects the coin's rarity and pristine condition, rather than any error in the minting process. These sales demonstrate that even coins that seem ordinary to most people can hold surprising worth if they meet the right criteria. Identifying a real 1973 no-mint mark penny requires careful observation. First, check the obverse for Lincoln's profile and ensure the coin bears no D or S mint mark below the date. The lettering, numbers, and overall strike should be sharp, with minimal signs of wear. Coins that appear unusually smooth, uneven, or have inconsistent color might be replicas or altered pieces. Professional grading can provide additional assurance, especially for collectors considering high-value transactions. Authenticity is key, and even a subtle difference in metal composition or surface detail can distinguish a genuine coin from a fake. There are several surprising facts about this penny that make it even more fascinating. For one, the 1973 penny was produced during the tail end of the copper boom in coinage. In later years, the U.S. Mint experimented with zinc-plated steel pennies in response to rising copper costs, making copper pennies from this era increasingly collectible. Additionally, while the coin seems simple, it represents a snapshot of American history, a period of social change, economic fluctuation, and evolving minting technology. For some, the coin is not just currency, but a tangible piece of the 1970s in America, carrying stories of daily life, commerce, and design choices frozen in copper. Collectors love the 1973 no-mint mark penny for many reasons beyond its monetary value. The coin is small, yet it embodies decades of American heritage. It's approachable for beginners, yet still offers depth for seasoned numismatists who appreciate the subtleties of strike quality, luster, and preservation. Owning one is like having a secret link to the past, a rare connection to the very day it was struck. Its scarcity and high grades means that each acquisition feels significant, almost like discovering a hidden treasure among thousands of ordinary coins. As we reflect on the 1973 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, it's clear that its story is more than just a tale of copper and numbers. It's a story of rarity hidden in plain sight, of ordinary objects transformed into collectible treasures through time, patience, and keen observation. If you happen to come across one in your change, a drawer, or an inherited coin collection, it's worth taking a closer look. You may be holding a coin that not only represents history, but could also be a small window into unexpected value. The next time you handle a penny, think about the stories it could tell. Was it carried in someone's pocket during a historic moment, or saved carefully by a collector who knew its potential? The 1973 no-mint mark Lincoln penny reminds us that even the smallest objects can hold enormous secrets. History, rarity, and curiosity all meet in the palm of your hand, waiting for those who take a closer look. Perhaps your next discovery is just a coin toss away. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that millions of Americans have spent, saved, or forgotten over the decades. Now, imagine that same coin could be worth far more than its face value, a simple penny that carries a story few people know. Today, we're diving into one of the most intriguing coins in American history, the 1985 D mint mark Lincoln penny. What makes this ordinary piece of metal suddenly capture the attention of collectors and coin enthusiasts alike? The answer lies not just in its design, but in its story, its quirks, and the secrets it holds. The 1985 D Lincoln penny is, at first glance, a familiar sight. It features Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, on the front, a figure Americans have come to recognize and respect for generations. On the back, it carries the Lincoln Memorial, standing as a tribute to the man's enduring legacy. This penny is made in Denver, which is indicated by the small D mint mark just below the date. It is a coin that, to many, might seem ordinary, yet for collectors, the 1985 D Lincoln penny holds stories that make it extraordinary. Let's step back for a moment and look at the history of this coin. The year 1985 was a fascinating time in the United States. Ronald Reagan was in his second term as president, and the country was experiencing economic growth alongside technological innovation. Amidst this backdrop, the U.S. Mint continued producing pennies as part of everyday commerce. The 1985 D. Lincoln penny was part of that massive production, intended to circulate in wallets, cash registers, and jars across the country. But what makes this coin truly interesting is not just the year it was minted, but the details of its design and production. Like all Lincoln cents, the obverse shows Lincoln's profile, a design that has remained remarkably consistent since 1909. The reverse features the Lincoln Memorial, a tribute introduced in 1959 to mark the centennial of Lincoln's birth. The coin itself is primarily made of a copper-plated zinc composition, a change that was introduced in 1982 to reduce costs. This means the core is zinc, with a thin outer layer of copper, giving the penny its familiar reddish appearance. While this may sound straightforward, these small changes in composition can be crucial for collectors, particularly when identifying rare varieties or errors. Speaking of unique features, the 1985 D. Lincoln penny has its share of collectible appeal due to subtle characteristics and potential errors. Over the years, coins minted in Denver have occasionally displayed doubling of the date or mint mark, slight die cracks, or other anomalies. While not every 1985 D penny will have these errors, those that do can be worth significantly more than their face value. It's a reminder that even coins we handle every day can hide secrets that only careful observation can reveal. So why is this penny considered rare or valuable? Unlike some of the extreme rarities that exist only in single or double digits, the 1985 D. Lincoln penny is moderately common, yet certain examples stand out due to their condition or errors. A coin in uncirculated condition, with sharp details and minimal wear, can command interest from collectors. But a coin with a minting error, such as a double die on the date or mint mark, can fetch prices that far exceed a typical penny. The thrill comes from the hunt, the idea that a coin sitting unnoticed in a jar could be a hidden treasure. To illustrate this, there have been several examples of the 1985 D. Lincoln penny selling for hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars, when in exceptional condition or carrying a rare error. One notable case involved a coin with a prominent double die on the date. At auction, this coin sold for several $100s, a remarkable increase from its original 1-cent value. These sales highlight the potential hidden value in coins that many consider ordinary. Collectors are constantly on the lookout for these anomalies, knowing that even small differences can dramatically change a coin's worth. But how do you tell a real 1985 D. Lincoln penny from a fake or altered coin? It begins with careful observation. First, look closely at the mint mark and the date. Genuine coins have consistent spacing, clean lines, and natural wear if they have circulated. Double die errors appear as noticeable doubling of the numbers or letters. Check the coin's weight and composition as well. Authentic 1985 D pennies should weigh around 2.5 grams, reflecting their copper-plated zinc core. Magnification can reveal subtle details that are difficult to replicate, making it easier to spot counterfeit or altered coins. Patience and attention to detail are key, as a true collector's eye can spot what most people would overlook. There are also some fun facts and surprising details about the 1985 D. Lincoln penny. For example, while it is part of a series that has been in circulation for over a century, its copper-plated zinc composition was relatively new at the time. This change was partly driven by rising copper prices, and it marked a turning point in U.S. coin production. Another interesting fact is that while Lincoln has appeared on the penny since 1909, the Lincoln Memorial on the back was relatively new in the grand scheme of history, appearing only since 1959. The combination of these historical elements makes each penny not just currency, but a tiny piece of American history, capturing moments in design, economy, and culture. Collectors are particularly drawn to the 1985 D Lincoln penny because it represents a perfect balance between accessibility and challenge. It is not so rare that it's impossible to find, yet the potential for discovering an unusual example adds excitement. Coin collectors enjoy hunting for uncirculated specimens, searching for mint errors and comparing subtle variations. Every 1985 D penny tells a story of the minting process, of American history, and of the people who have held it over the years. For many, this coin is a gateway into the fascinating world of numismatics, sparking curiosity and a sense of discovery. Finally, why does the 1985 D Lincoln penny continue to captivate collectors today? Its appeal lies in its history, its subtle variations, and the thrill of potential hidden value. Even though millions were minted, the combination of condition, design, and occasional errors ensures that no two collections are exactly alike. This penny is a reminder that even the smallest pieces of our daily lives can hold unexpected stories and opportunities. For collectors, the 1985 D Lincoln penny is more than just a coin. It's a tangible connection to history, a collectible with the potential to surprise, and a symbol of the enduring fascination of American coinage. So next time you reach into your pocket or glance at a jar of pennies, remember this. A coin that seems ordinary might just be extraordinary. Among the common change we handle every day, there may be one 1985 D Lincoln penny that stands out, a hidden gem waiting to be discovered. Will you be the one to find it? The story of this coin is far from over, and for those willing to look closely, it may hold more than just history. It may hold the thrill of discovery, the excitement of value, and a connection to the generations that have passed before us. The 1985 D Lincoln penny reminds us that even the smallest details can carry significance. Its design, its minting, and even its potential errors create a story that continues to unfold. For collectors and enthusiasts, this coin is not just currency. It is a piece of living history, a challenge for the curious, and a symbol of the surprises that can be hidden in the most familiar places. The next time you handle a penny, ask yourself, could this be the one that tells a story far greater than its humble face value? One coin, one story, and countless possibilities. This is the enduring allure of the 1985 D Lincoln penny. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that millions of people pass by every day, never noticing its hidden story. But what if I told you that among those ordinary pennies, there is one from 1995, a Lincoln cent without a mint mark, that has captured the attention of collectors and could be worth far more than its face value? Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of the 1995 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, a small coin with a surprisingly intriguing tale. The 1995 Lincoln penny is part of the long-running series of 1-cent coins featuring Abraham Lincoln, which have been in circulation since 1909. The coin shows Lincoln's familiar profile on the obverse, or front, and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, a design introduced in 1959 to celebrate Lincoln's 150th birthday. While most pennies are overlooked as everyday currency, the 1995 no-mint mark penny stands out for a subtle but crucial reason: the absence of a mint mark. Mint marks are small letters stamped on coins to indicate where they were produced. For pennies, a D stands for Denver, an S for San Francisco, and the lack of a mark usually indicates it was minted in Philadelphia. But in 1995, the Philadelphia Mint produced millions of Lincoln cents without any errors. And yet, a small batch of these coins gained notoriety because they appeared unusually smooth, some with slightly different metal characteristics or production inconsistencies. These minor differences caught the eyes of collectors, sparking curiosity and driving up interest. To understand why this penny exists and why it matters, we need a quick history lesson. In 1995, the The United States was in a period of steady economic growth, and pennies were still heavily used for everyday transactions. The Lincoln penny had already become an iconic American coin, a symbol of both history and daily life. That year, the Philadelphia Mint struck billions of pennies, most intended for circulation. But with mass production comes the occasional anomaly. Even the tiniest misstep in the minting process could create a coin that looks ordinary but holds the potential for exceptional value. What makes the 1995 no mint mark penny so fascinating are its subtle, unique features. Like all Lincoln cents of that era, it was made primarily of zinc, with a thin copper plating covering it. But collectors have noted that some of the no mint mark coins from 1995 display unusually sharp details on Lincoln's bust, or a slightly different sheen due to minor variations in the metal composition. While these differences are not always immediately obvious, they can affect the coin's grading or the professional assessment of its condition, which in turn influences its market value. Some coins also exhibit tiny die errors or minor imperfections, which, for collectors, can make a seemingly ordinary penny suddenly desirable. Why is this coin considered rare or valuable? In general, most 1995 pennies are common and worth only their face value. But the no mint mark varieties, especially those in pristine condition, are far less common in collector circles. The rarity comes not from the quantity produced. It's still a coin minted in the millions, but from how many survive today in top condition, with sharp details and no signs of circulation. Coins that appear flawless or have subtle die variations are especially prized, and they can command significant sums from collectors who understand the nuance. To give you a sense of the market, some 1995 no mint mark Lincoln pennies have sold at auction for several $100s in top condition, depending on grading and demand. For example, a professional collector's guide recently listed a high-grade specimen in near-perfect condition, with a value of over $500. While that may seem modest compared to rare coins from the 1800s, remember that this is a coin most people dismiss as everyday change. The allure lies in discovering a coin that seems ordinary but is actually a hidden gem, a tangible piece of history that could easily have been overlooked. Identifying a genuine 1995 no mint mark Lincoln penny is not difficult, but it requires careful observation. First, check the coin's obverse for the absence of a mint mark. It should appear exactly where a D or S would normally be, just below the date, and there should be no letter present. Next, examine the details on Lincoln's bust. Look for crisp lines and sharp features, especially around the hair and beard. The coin's color and texture can also provide clues. A high-quality example will often have a slightly brighter appearance due to minimal circulation wear. Comparing the coin to a known authentic example from a reputable source can help confirm its legitimacy. It's also worth consulting a professional grader or coin dealer if you're unsure, as even subtle imperfections can dramatically affect value. There are also some fun and surprising details about this penny that many people don't realize. For instance, the 1995 Lincoln penny marks nearly the end of an era before the mint introduced updated designs and production techniques in later years. Its existence reminds us that even the most common coins can tell a story about the time and place they were made. Another fascinating fact is that many of these coins were quietly tucked away by collectors shortly after release, meaning that some of the highest quality examples have never seen everyday use. This hidden journey from pocket change to collectible treasure adds to the coin's mystique. Collectors love the 1995 no mint mark Lincoln penny not just for its monetary value, but for its place in history. It represents a snapshot of American life in the mid-1990s, an era of transition when traditional coinage still dominated daily transactions before digital payments became commonplace. For coin enthusiasts, owning a rare or near-perfect example is like holding a miniature piece of history, a tangible connection to the past. The thrill comes from spotting a coin that most people overlook, realizing that something so ordinary at first glance can actually be extraordinary. As we reflect on this coin, it becomes clear why it continues to capture attention. It's more than just a penny. It's a symbol of curiosity, a reminder that small details can hold big surprises. Whether you're a seasoned collector or someone who occasionally checks your pocket change, the 1995 no-mint mark Lincoln penny offers an opportunity to look closer, to appreciate the history in your hands, and maybe even to uncover something truly valuable. So next time you find a penny on the sidewalk or at the bottom of a drawer, think twice before dismissing it. Among the countless coins passing through our lives every day, one might just be a rare 1995 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, quietly waiting to tell its story. Could the next treasure you discover be hiding in plain sight, right in your own collection? The answer may be closer than you think. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that most people overlook every single day. A coin so ordinary, so common in appearance, that it slips unnoticed through pockets and purses. Yet hidden in plain sight, it could be worth far more than you ever imagined. This is the story of the 1998 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin that has quietly captured the attention of collectors across the United States. What makes this little copper disc so intriguing? Why have some of these pennies sparked excitement in the coin collecting world, despite their recent minting? Today, we're diving deep into the history, mystery, and value of the 1998 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. The 1998 Lincoln penny is part of the long-running series of pennies honoring Abraham Lincoln, first introduced in 1909 to commemorate his 100th birthday. By 1998, the Lincoln cent had been in continuous production for nearly 90 years, making it one of the most familiar coins in American currency. The penny features Lincoln's profile on the front, a design by Victor David Brenner that has become iconic over the decades. On the back, the design varies depending on the series, but in 1998, the reverse showcased the Lincoln Memorial, a design that had been in place since 1959. At first glance, a 1998 penny seems ordinary, indistinguishable from the millions produced that year. The U.S. Mint in 1998 produced coins at multiple facilities, primarily Philadelphia and Denver. Coins struck at Philadelphia typically carry no mint mark, while those from Denver feature a small D to indicate their origin. This is where the 1998 no mint mark Lincoln penny comes into focus. Unlike older rare coins, where scarcity comes from limited production, the 1998 penny's intrigue comes from certain subtle variations, and the sheer number of collectors suddenly noticing errors, die varieties, and unintentional anomalies. The year 1998 in the United States was an interesting period for coin production. The economy was stable, and the demand for small change was high. Pennies were primarily made from copper-plated zinc, a combination that had been standard since 1982. This makes the 1998 penny predominantly zinc, with a thin copper coating giving it the familiar reddish hue. The Lincoln profile on the obverse remains crisp and clear, showing the familiar lines of Lincoln's face, his coat, and the word liberty along the left edge. The phrase "In God We Trust" crowns the top. The reverse features the Lincoln Memorial, complete with delicate architectural details, although these details can wear down easily with circulation. What makes the 1998 no mint mark penny stand out isn't immediately obvious. While not officially classified as a rare coin by the U.S. Mint, certain examples have drawn attention because of production errors or unique die varieties. Some coins display doubled dies, where parts of the design appear slightly offset or doubled. Others show weak strikes, misaligned lettering, or unusual discoloration caused by the zinc core reacting with environmental factors. These imperfections can significantly increase the coin's value to collectors who specialize in modern errors, often selling for multiples of their face value. Collectors are particularly fascinated by coins from the Philadelphia Mint, the facility that produced the no-mint mark variety. In some cases, coins from Philadelphia have displayed what is called a die crack, or minor flaws along the rim or within Lincoln's profile. While these errors are not as dramatic as some famous historical coins, they are highly sought after in the niche of modern era collecting. When authenticated, these coins can fetch anywhere from $10 to several $100s, depending on the rarity and the severity of the flaw. One notable auction in the past few years sold a 1998 no-mint mark penny with a pronounced double die effect for over $300. Another example, with a subtle die crack through the Lincoln Memorial, sold privately for around $150. These figures demonstrate that even coins minted in the late 20th century can generate collector interest if they exhibit unique characteristics. For those wondering how to identify a genuine 1998 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, there are a few key features to check. First, confirm the absence of a mint mark above the date on the obverse. This indicates it was struck at Philadelphia. Examine the edge and surface carefully for any unusual lines, doubling, or discoloration. Because these pennies are zinc core with a copper coating, the metal may sometimes flake or show greenish spots when exposed to moisture. These are natural signs of aging and circulation, but careful collectors use magnification to distinguish true minting errors from post-circulation damage. If in doubt, submitting the coin to a professional grading service can provide authentication and protect its value. Beyond the technical aspects, there are a few fun and surprising details about the 1998 penny that many people don't realize. The Lincoln Memorial on the reverse actually contains a tiny image of Lincoln himself, visible only upon close inspection. This detail has fascinated numismatists and casual collectors alike, showing the care and artistry involved even in a coin as seemingly mundane as a penny. Another interesting fact is that in 1998, some coins were accidentally struck with slightly off-center dies, leading to misaligned images that today command attention from modern coin enthusiasts. While these off-center coins are not officially cataloged in the Mint's rare coin listings, their uniqueness is undeniable. Collectors love the 1998 no-mint mark Lincoln penny not just for potential value, but for the story each coin tells. It represents a moment in time, the work of skilled engravers, and the subtle mysteries of the minting process. Even among the youngest coins, slight anomalies can make a coin a conversation starter, a teaching tool, or a valuable addition to a growing collection. Many collectors take pride in hunting for these pennies in circulation, exploring change jars, rolls of coins, and old collections inherited from family members. Every find is a reminder that coins, no matter how small, carry history and human effort within them. What makes this coin truly compelling is that it challenges the assumption that only old coins are valuable. The 1998 no-mint mark penny proves that even coins from our lifetime can harbor secrets waiting to be discovered. It reminds us that curiosity, patience, and a careful eye can turn an everyday object into something remarkable. The excitement isn't always in the immediate value, but in the potential and the story behind each find. So next time you come across a seemingly ordinary penny, take a closer look. Examine the date, the mint mark, and the details of Lincoln's profile. You might be holding more than just a piece of copper-plated zinc. You could be holding a tiny piece of history, a collector's treasure, or a coin that tells a story of our modern era. The 1998 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is a reminder that even the most familiar objects can contain unexpected surprises. And who knows? The penny in your pocket today might just be the next coin that makes collectors sit up and take notice. In the end, the 1998 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is more than a small piece of change. It's a symbol of artistry, history, and the hidden potential of everyday objects. Its value may not always be in dollars, but in the curiosity it sparks, the stories it carries, and the thrill of discovery it offers to those who know how to look closely. So the next time you handle a Lincoln penny, remember, every coin has a story, and some stories are just waiting to be uncovered. Could your next find be one of them? The mystery is out there, and all it takes is a careful eye and a little bit of luck. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that seems ordinary at first glance, a coin you've seen 1,000 times in your pocket or in your change. Now imagine discovering that this very coin could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. That's exactly the story behind the 2005 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, a coin that quietly captures the attention of collectors and everyday Americans alike. It's a coin that reminds us that sometimes the most ordinary objects hide extraordinary secrets. The 2005 no mint mark Lincoln penny is part of the long-running series of 1-cent coins featuring Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. Lincoln first appeared on the penny in 1909, in honor of his 100th birthday, making the Lincoln cent one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history. For over a century, these pennies have circulated through millions of hands, often overlooked, yet treasured by collectors when they reveal something unique or unusual. The 2005 no mint mark penny is one of those unusual finds. In 2005, the United States Mint produced billions of pennies across 3 facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Typically, coins from Denver bear a D mint mark, coins from San Francisco carry an S, and Philadelphia pennies often have no mint mark at all. The 2005 penny in question was produced in Philadelphia without a mint mark, which is standard for that facility. However, what makes some of these pennies particularly valuable isn't just the mint location. It's the combination of errors, preservation, and scarcity that can make one seemingly ordinary coin extraordinary. The 2005 Lincoln penny continues the classic design introduced in 1909, with Lincoln's profile on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, a design that remained unchanged from 1959 until 2008. The coin is made primarily of zinc, coated with a thin layer of copper, a composition that has been used since 1982. The lightweight feel and copper hue make it instantly recognizable as a modern penny. But for collectors, the true appeal comes in the small details that set certain pennies apart. Errors, die defects, and other unusual characteristics are what can turn a common coin into a rare and valuable one. Among 2005 no mint mark pennies, collectors look for a few key anomalies. One known error is the double die, where the coin shows slight doubling in the lettering or date. Another sought-after variation is off-center strikes, where the design isn't perfectly aligned on the planchet, leaving a noticeable border or partial image. These errors are rare because the U.S. Mint has extremely strict quality control, making any mistake a highly collectible curiosity. Even a coin with minor die cracks or unusual toning can capture the attention of serious collectors. Why is this penny valuable? On the surface, the 2005 no mint mark penny is a coin you could find in your wallet or piggy bank. But for collectors, value comes from rarity and condition. High-grade, uncirculated coins from Philadelphia in 2005 can command prices that far exceed face value. For example, coins graded as M-65 or higher, essentially flawless pennies with sharp details and no visible wear, have been known to sell for hundreds of dollars. The most exceptional examples, particularly those with rare errors, have sold for thousands. It's a reminder that even a coin you pass by every day can hold unexpected wealth. Real-world auction results show just how much collectors are willing to pay. In recent years, 2005 no mint mark pennies in pristine condition with slight doubling or unusual features have sold in online auctions for between $150 and $600. Some coins with extraordinary anomalies or perfect uncirculated surfaces have even reached higher values. These prices are not arbitrary. They reflect the coin's scarcity, the desire of collectors to own a complete and unique collection, and the enduring popularity of Lincoln pennies in the United States. So how can you tell if a 2005 no-mint mark penny is authentic and valuable? First, examine the date and mint mark carefully. A true Philadelphia penny will have no letter beneath the date. Check the design details. Lincoln's profile should be sharp, the memorial on the back crisp, and the lettering even. Look for any unusual marks, doubling, or misalignment that could indicate an error. Coins that have been circulated extensively are generally less valuable, so collectors often seek pennies that retain their original luster and detail. If in doubt, having the coin professionally graded can provide verification and increase its market value. Some fun facts make the 2005 Lincoln penny even more interesting. In 2005, the mint produced over 9 billion pennies nationwide, yet only a tiny fraction are preserved in perfect condition. While most pennies are quickly spent and worn down, those that survive in mint state condition become a bridge to the past, connecting modern collectors to a tradition that stretches back over a century. The Lincoln penny itself is a symbol of history, featuring one of America's most beloved presidents, and this tiny coin has been used to teach generations about money, saving, and collecting. Collectors today love the 2005 no-mint mark Lincoln penny not just for its potential value, but for its story. Each coin carries a piece of history, a reflection of the economy, the minting process, and the simple artistry of coin design. Owning a coin like this is like holding a small, tangible connection to the past, a reminder that even the smallest objects can carry meaning far beyond their face value. The thrill of finding a rare error, the joy of adding a pristine penny to a collection, and the curiosity of wondering what might still be hidden in circulation. These are the reasons collectors continue to search through drawers, jars, and rolls of pennies in pursuit of something special. Even casual observers are drawn to the mystery of this coin. How many 2005 no-mint mark pennies exist in near-perfect condition? How many hold errors that make them unique? Every time someone flips one of these pennies over, they are reminded that a small object can have a story worth telling and a value worth discovering. It's a coin that rewards attention, patience, and a little bit of luck. So next time you reach for a penny, take a closer look. The 2005 no-mint mark Lincoln penny may appear ordinary, but in the right hands, it becomes extraordinary. Whether it's an uncirculated gem, a rare error, or a beautifully preserved example from Philadelphia, this coin shows that even the smallest pieces of history can hold immense fascination and potential. The question remains, among the countless pennies in circulation, could the one you hold be the hidden treasure collectors have been searching for all along? The 2005 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is a reminder that history, rarity, and value often hide in plain sight. And while most coins are spent without a second thought, the ones that survive in perfect condition or with a unique flaw can spark excitement, curiosity, and even life-changing discoveries. Keep your eyes open, examine each coin carefully, and remember that sometimes the most ordinary objects can become extraordinary when you know what to look for. Every coin has a story, and the 2005 no-mint mark Lincoln penny has a story waiting to be discovered. Could your change be more valuable than you realize? Perhaps it's time to check. You never know what secrets might be hiding in your pocket.